And during the few moments that we have left, we want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Michelle Stinson-Ross. Powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
All right, and welcome back to the first episode of Search Talk Live for 2018. With me today is Michelle Stinson-Ross. Michelle, how's it going?
It is going well. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Hope 2018 brings you much happiness.
Same for you and the rest of our audience.
Yeah, those of you tuning in to Search Talk Live for the very first time, Search Talk Live is a digital marketing podcast. We talk about everything to do with digital marketing. We talk about SEO, we talk about content marketing, we talk about social media, conversion optimization. I mean, you name it, we really do try and cover it all. So everybody has a little something to take away. But man, what an incredible year last year. We've had probably the most amazing guests. No, I wouldn't say probably, but we've had the most amazing guests on the show. You name it. We've had people from Google. We've had people from everywhere, and we're starting off the year really strong. I mean, our guest today, Ken Tucker, who is the founder of Changescape Web. We're going to discuss the most important strategies for local businesses to help them be found online. Ken, how's it going?
It's going well. How about you today?
Good, man. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So the people that don't know about you, can you give us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I started my company in 2005. I basically came from the world of software development. I managed large IT projects and software development projects for the Department of Defense. And so because of that background, when I shifted over into the marketing world full-time in 2008, I really became interested in looking at marketing as a system. And so as a result of that, over the course of the next several years, I wound up becoming a duct tape marketing consultant and became certified in that. I've been inbound marketing certified because it's really important for me to try to identify ways that we can deliver real, true solutions to people. And so the latest thing that I've been focused on is looking at StoryBrand and how to really clarify your message. The thing I like about StoryBrand and duct tape in combination is, it really challenges me to think about when I'm working with a client, what problems do we solve for them? And so, I think that's just a really critical. Now, I'm sorry, not what problems we solve for them, but what problems they solve for their clients, because that is fundamental to SEO.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for the listeners, why don't you explain a little bit about duct tape and brand?
Okay. So duct tape marketing is based on a book that was written by John Jansch probably 10 years ago or so. And it basically lays out a small business marketing system that is built upon a concept called the marketing hourglass. This is kind of a lot of your listeners might be familiar, with the sales funnel kind of concept. This is the sales funnel, but it's beyond that. So the top half of the sales funnel is really the know, like, and trust. And then when you get down to the bottom of the funnel, it's try and buy. What John did is he flipped that over and he created an hourglass out of the funnel. So the other side of the funnel is really repeat and refer. And I think it's really important, a lot of times sales, and the marketing and the continued growth with a particular customer continues on well after they've become a customer. And that honestly is a great opportunity that a lot of people should be able to capitalize, but maybe don't feel or don't allocate the proper effort toward that. StoryBrand is something, as a matter of fact, there was a book that was just published by Donald Miller in October of this year, of actually 2017. And it's basically looking at storytelling as a way to use that to clarify your message for marketing purposes. But what it does is it doesn't focus on the brand as the hero. It focuses on your customer as the hero, and the brand is a guide who provides the plan that calls the customer to action to achieve an outcome. And I love the simplicity of that. I think it's super easy and super clear to create a very effective message. And if you're building a web page and you're either being found organically or you're driving traffic to that page, that's only half the battle. I mean, that's the top half of the funnel. If you're not able to convert people, and get them to engage with your business and then nurture them to the point where they're becoming a customer, you're missing huge opportunity. So that's why I think it's a great combination for me.
Very cool. So, now let's dig into it now that we've got that explanation, and I'm sure a lot of what we're going to talk about today is going to encompass what you just described. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get into it. Where would you like to start? I mean, what are the most important strategies?
Well, I think, for a business that does business in a local area, whether it's a place of business that people go to, a brick and mortar business, or whether it's a services company that delivers services to customers within a particular, tightly defined geographic area, metropolitan area or whatnot, or even smaller. Right now, I think the number one thing that I would recommend people do is, first of all, make sure you've claimed your Google My Business page. Absolutely. It's an incredibly important property. It's free to claim. Make sure you do it. Make sure you optimize it. If it gives you the opportunity to upload, pictures in different categories, if you've got good, relevant pictures, by all means, upload them. The more comprehensive that you can fill out that profile, the better. Very closely follow to that, and honestly, the number one tactic right now, it looks like for a lot of local businesses, is online reviews and driving online reviews. And I happen to think that Google is the king of reviews. If you're wanting to show up on the Google Map results, getting people to write reviews about your business and continually driving people to do that, which means that you're going to have to ask them. If you just wait for that to happen, it's likely to not happen, or the reviews are going to skew to the negative, because most people are going to be wired to write a review when they've had a negative experience, and they're not nearly as likely to go write a review when they've had a positive experience, but they're more than happy to do so if you ask them. So I would strongly recommend businesses make sure they get the Google My Business page and then drive people to go write reviews on that Google My Business page.
Yeah, and Ken, a lot. I preach to a lot of local businesses the fact that make it a part of their everyday flow with customers. If it's a website and you don't actually have face-to-face visual with the customer, follow up with that customer. If they have good things to say about you, direct them to your, maybe through an email, direct them to the review page of Google. And even if you do have negative stuff, the same thing, stay on top of it and show that you care for your customer.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm a big advocate of creating a review funnel where you make it as easy as possible for people to go find the review sites that you want to drive them to. And Facebook and Yelp is an important review site. You have to be very careful about, facilitating reviews on Yelp. Yelp wants those to happen really very organically and very driven by the user and not by the business. But if you're a home contractor, site like Home Advisor or Angie's List, those may be important review sites. I think from an SEO perspective, the most important thing though is to drive people to your Google My Business page and write reviews there, because that's what's going to rank on the map. And the reality is, with Google local services ads that are starting to pop up across the country more and more. As a matter of fact, it just rolled out to 13 different markets at the beginning of the year, including St. Louis, which is where I'm based. You've got the Google local services ads, which are 3 rectangular ads that display at the top. Then you've got the regular Google AdWords. Then if the Google map is fired, and that's typically going to be fired if somebody types in a service plus a location, sometimes location plus the state, you're not even going to have a chance to have your organic listing of your website show up until somebody has to scroll down below the page. So that Google Map property is absolutely critical. And, the other thing about a review funnel that it does for you is it gives you the ability to capture customer feedback and address that feedback before they go write a review. You can set it up to where there's a threshold. If somebody selects a 4 or 5 star rating for your business, you can take them directly to the link where they can go write a review on the review property of your choice. If they give you less than that, then you can have a little pop-up form that says, hey, we're sorry you didn't have a stellar experience. Your feedback's important to us. What can we do to make things better? And, if you're responding to that, then you might be able to salvage a customer and they may turn around and write a great review for you as a result of that. The last thing I want to say about, reviews is a lot of people just let reviews happen and they don't respond to them. And I think you're missing a big opportunity if you don't respond to each and every review that comes in. I've seen some studies, I believe it may have been Bright Local or somebody like that, where they had a study recently that showed that there's actually a composite boost in overall ranking or rating score if you go in and regularly respond to reviews. And look, sometimes when people write a negative review and you reply to that review, you might be pouring gasoline onto a fire. You just don't know for sure, but I still think you can address that negative review by saying, we're sorry you didn't have a great experience. Please contact us and take that offline. Either give them a phone number or an email address where you can try to work it out. And honestly, the people who go and read those negative reviews or those lukewarm reviews, they see that you're engaged, they see that you care, and they see that you're trying to make the situation better for somebody. And that adds a lot to the credibility and honestly the trustworthiness of your business.
Yeah. Well, and this also plays into kind of the future of what search might become, because I know here at the agency that I work with, we're looking at voice search, we're looking at how that might impact SEO, how that might impact local business, and everything that I see in relationship to useful use for businesses of voice search and how you get found on those types of devices. The use case screams at me that user reviews are going to be part of it, so that when somebody speaks to their Google Home and says, hey Google, where's the best pizza near me? Maybe they're, that sort of thing. Google Home's going to eventually, I suspect, this is just my opinion, folks, that it's going to respond back. Joe's Pizza has received 5 stars in your area. Would you like a phone number? Or, it'll ask you, do you want to, make use of that information, or would you like another recommendation kind of thing? My suspicion is that that's where this is going. So reviews are going to be critical.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm drawing a complete blank on what this is called, but Google last year at their conference, they demonstrated where you could point your cell phone with the camera and it'll recognize a business, and it's actually going to display, the composite rating and the reviews of that business as you're walking along the street and you're looking at those businesses, and if you're looking to make a decision on which of 4 different restaurants along a stretch of road that you want to go to, that's going to become huge. So user reviews are absolutely critical.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michelle, to add to what you just said, Google I/O, they just announced that, and I called this last year, first part of the year. I said they're going to add some kind of display to it. They announced that they're going to have, basically it's Google Home, but with a display. And then also you can project it to the TV if you wanted to see, like, say I want to buy a new house or something. It's going to project that information onto the screen.
Well, are we really surprised? Basically, we just need to voice enable the visual. Are we getting closer and closer to the Star Trek computer or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty amazing stuff.
It really is. Absolutely is.
All right. Well, now we've covered the reviews. Where would you like to go next?
Well, I think honestly, one of the things that I think each business needs to really have a hard conversation with themselves is search engine optimization the right strategy for them? Reviews is really important. Making sure that your business is listed correctly across all of these directory sites that are out there is also really important. But I think one of the things that, beyond that, a lot of businesses honestly can't afford an SEO strategy, because an SEO strategy is an ongoing monthly recurring thing that you have to continue to go in and add content. You have to drive traffic to your website through social media. You have to do a lot of, if you're blogging, you have to, push that out to the rest of the world. And you have to be constantly doing things and creating content in ways that people want to link back to your website. So I think it's a really important thing for people to take a hard look at their business, find out, do the economics support an SEO strategy, or do they need to really focus on creating a sales funnel where they're going to drive traffic to that funnel, and a funnel is going to be a landing page followed by an email automation sequence, typically to nurture somebody. It's going to vary based on the nature and complexity of the sale of what products and services they have to offer. But I think looking at driving traffic through Facebook, Google AdWords, maybe even in some cases, depending on who your target audience is, coupling an online strategy with every door direct mail campaign or a small batch campaign targeting specific businesses, and then driving people into online properties and integrating that strategy may be as much of a bang for the buck as an SEO strategy. So I think it really just comes down to strategy. I mean, if you're not doing strategy and you're not really thinking about the economics of the deal and the profitability of the deal, you may be really disappointed in the results you're going to get from SEO campaigns, because you may not be spending enough money to make a difference, or you're going to be basically wasting a lot of money where you could have taken that money. And look, I'm a huge fan of search engine optimization. I believe that that's the best long-term strategy for almost every business that's out there. But sometimes what you need to do is you just need to drive traffic and you need to generate revenue and maybe reinvest that increased sales in an SEO strategy once you get those things coming in.
Yeah, and Ken, I come from a long SEO career, and I have to agree with you there, because even if your website ranks number 1 on Google, you still have to deal with, if you're local, the 3-pack and paid. So even if you're ranking high organically, I always tell clients you still need to do paid branding and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just because you rank number 1 doesn't mean that that's still going to be enough to generate the quality and volume of leads that you need to really be able to convert to drive the business the way that you want to see your business grow.
Yeah, and you see time and time again too, where your competition is bidding on your brand.
Yeah,
you got to be there because they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned this earlier. With Google local services ads and Google AdWords and the 3-pack. Those are the hottest properties right now that people are going to find before they have to even before they even scroll down to the organic search results. So it's absolutely critical to think about how that comes into play. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Well, I know for me as a consumer, the availability of device and reliable either cellular data or Wi-Fi connection has definitely changed just my personal habits, and I think that that's something that local businesses need to pay attention to. I know with my phone and the reliability of a good data connection no matter where I am. I'm in Texas. I tend to look for local businesses if it's something that I'm actually going to walk into your restaurant, your boutique, your whatever, to physically conduct business with you in person. I'm personally more likely to go to Google Maps than I am even to Google search, because in all likelihood, not only am I looking for, a quick referral for something good, but now that I've got it, I'd like directions, please, to get there. So when you combine up device usage and places to get information that aren't actually a Google search, those are just increasing a local business's need to make sure that Google My Business is just completely well rounded out, and that you really do understand how your customer is connecting with you digitally.
Yeah. It blows my mind that there's not everybody is on it. You see so many businesses that are not on it, just maybe because they're not aware of it or what. But I mean, just like you were saying a while ago, pointing your camera at a business and you get reviews there, it's also a link to your website. Say you're a restaurant, they want to see your menu before they go in. All that information is right there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, I mean, every business is different, right? So if you have a longer, more complex sales cycle, showing up on the map results may not be quite as critical. But if you're in a business where people make decisions because of proximity, where they're using that Google Map result, or you look at your Google Analytics and you see that the majority of your traffic is coming from a mobile device, you've got to have a strategy to make sure you're capitalizing on that. If you're in a business, a business-to-business oriented business may still be getting the majority of their search traffic from a desktop device.
Yeah.
That's going to change. I mean, it's already changing pretty quickly, and it's only a matter of time before you're going to see the mobile searches probably on par with desktop, even for a service and a business-to-business oriented business.
Yeah,
I've got clients that's already the case.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm working with one now that their customers are physicians. And I just read a really recent article recently that physicians don't have desks. They use mobile phones. They don't even bother with a computer. They don't sit down at a desk. They spend all of their time dealing with patients, and therefore their connectivity is almost exclusively mobile.
Yeah.
And that's a business-to-business transaction for anything that does business with a physician.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a good point.
If you're just tuning in, guys, we're talking with Ken Tucker. He's the founder of ChangeScape. ChangeScape Web, sorry.
All right.
We're talking about local businesses and how to help them be found online. You can type in your questions on Twitter using hashtag SearchTalkLive. I don't know if are you live tweeting right now?
I am not. No.
Okay. Shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Ken. So let's move on. Where would we move next from reviews?
Well, I think creating. Sorry, I'm getting feedback there. Creating content, I think, is going to be a really important consideration. You really still get a lot of mileage by making sure that you create a page for every service that you offer. I see a lot of businesses, a lot of small businesses, a lot of local businesses. They create a single services page, or they create a single product page, and they just have what they offer in bullet points. And, it's awfully hard to optimize a website for each one of those services when you don't even have a page for each of those services. So I think it's really critical to think about the alignment of a product or service page. Maybe even if you're in a large metropolitan area, you need to break those out by service plus location. And every piece of that content needs to be unique. It needs to be relevant to the audience that you're creating it for. But those are all important things. When we look at content from a blog perspective, the trends are that you've got to continue to write longer and longer form content. One of my colleagues just sent me an article at the beginning of the week, and I haven't had a chance to dig too deep into it. But I know he looked at it and was suitably impressed that it's possible that you can now be deemed as having thin content when your content is even 1,000 words. And we're starting to see web pages that are long scrolling web pages. Even if you're looking at them on a mobile device, you're still scrolling down, reading through sections of a web page. And, that's first of all, there are some ways that you can lay out that content to be a very effective strategy on a long scrolling web page to really be a great way to tell a story. But the second thing is it's important for content reasons to have enough content to even have a chance of ranking.
Sure. That's where you really have to be careful when it comes between mobile and desktop. Like when you write those long form posts, it can be a little bit harder for someone on a mobile device to read the whole thing.
Yeah, that's right. And, I think it's important when you're writing a blog post, and it's really easy to get lazy on this. Mm-hmm. But when you write a blog post, you really need to think about writing it like a publisher would write it. You need to have great headlines. You need to have images. But if you're expecting a lot of people to view it on mobile, you need to figure out a way to manage the images and make sure that they're not going to hurt your page load speed times. But you really do need to make it easy for people to skim that content. It's important for the search engines to have the content to be able to optimize, but it's important to recognize that people don't read websites, they skim them. And so you've got to really make sure you lay out your content in a way that's really easy to skim so that people can zero in exactly on what it is that they need to see. And so you're absolutely right. It is a balancing act.
Yeah. All right.
Well, and this is where different content types kind of come into play. So with a longer form piece like that, especially when you're going to have a high percentage of mobile consumers of that content, that's a good use case for not only writing it out, but also having video content that kind of explains the same sort of stuff so that whether you're on a desktop or on a mobile, it's easy to consume that information.
Yeah. Well, guys, hold that thought. We need to take a break real quick.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. Check out robertpalmercompanies.com for more information.
Find the true value of your home when you log on. homevalue.com.
Directive Consulting is an industry-leading search marketing agency fully focused on helping B2B marketing teams increase their results. If you're looking to increase your marketing qualified leads and decrease your cost per acquisition for search engines, I'd highly recommend you take a look at their site. We've actually had their CEO, Garrett Marguth, on the show, and I can honestly say these guys are doing some great stuff. I hear that they even have their own analytics system that lets you correlate your SEO, PPC, or content efforts directly to revenue. If you're a B2B company and thinking about switching agencies, or if you're in-house and need help, I'd give Directive Consulting a look. Visit directiveconsulting.com or call 949-214-4024. Again, that's 949-214-4024. Again, that's Directive Consulting at directiveconsulting.com.
Get your questions in on Twitter. Type hashtag SearchTalkLive and your question. Now back to the show.
All right, Michelle, you bring up a valid point. Content is not just text on a page.
Right.
It could be videos. It could be a podcast. It could be a million different things.
Well, and this comes back to kind of my favorite thing to to discuss is that if you're going to invest that much time and effort to create a long form piece of content, then why not repurpose and reuse it and create content pieces that are easily consumed in various ways, shapes, and forms? You have to remember your audience is human beings, and they have various learning styles. Some are visual learners, some are auditory learners, and some are tactile learners. Now, granted, in the digital space, we can't really deal with tactile, but for visual and auditory learners, having that podcast or that video as well as the text certainly encompasses a lot more learning styles than just reading a page.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that 100%. I think the other thing that you can do in terms of repurposing content, because if you've decided that search engine optimization is definitely a viable strategy for your business, repurposing content in the form of taking blog posts and turning those into ebooks that you can use as lead generators and packaging those so that they're easier to consume, and you can promote and even advertise those on Facebook as lead magnets, and to build an email list, and so that you can turn around and nurture. I think it's really important to, if you're going to make an investment in strategy, do things that are going to amplify it, not just do these one-off tactics, which I think is kind of a carryover that a lot of small businesses have experienced from the offline world. They were accustomed to sending out a mailer whenever they needed to drum up some business, and they'd send one mailer out, and obviously frequently didn't get a lot of activity from that because it was a one-off tactic. And I think it's really important to put together a program and a strategy, to have consistency, to have content that's based on the form that your website visitors and your customers and users are going to be most likely to respond to, but also turn that into ways that is going to help you attract and retain even more potential leads.
I agree with you, definitely. All right, let's move on to the next thing. What would you say would be the next important step?
Well, I think a lot of people don't really monitor what's going on their website, so paying attention to what's showing up in your Google Search Console is very, very important to do. It used to be called Google Webmaster Tools, and just making sure that you're fixing anything that's broken and paying attention to that. Don't let anything that chip away at the hard work that you've done from an SEO investment. Whether make sure you're looking for broken links, make sure you're disavowing any spammy links, and another thing we do is we take a look at keyword performance and where we're ranking.
Sure.
And while we have a content calendar that we work with a lot of our customers, we also allow ourselves to have a little bit of flexibility there, where if we see that we're ranking in positions 4 through 15, for example, for some important keyword phrases, we may decide that a little bit of an investment in content, either on an existing page to help get that up, ranking higher, or even creating a page to address a content gap, is a really good strategy. So that's kind of the way we approach it. I think a really great way for a lot of small businesses to think about search engine optimization. Rand Fishkin, in one of his Whiteboard Fridays, did a video on minimum viable SEO, and I think that's a great lesson for anybody who's sticking their toe in SEO and really thinking about what they need to do and what it really takes to get started. And a lot of times your initial SEO efforts may literally be just to clean up some issues that have popped up on your website, sometimes through no fault of your own.
Sure. I mean, we were talking about earlier where, if a business doesn't have the budget to hire an SEO, learn the basics at least. I mean, that's free.
Yeah, absolutely. Just and part of it's just discipline. I mean, if you're going to be creating your own content, at a minimum, make sure you're thinking about the title tags. Make sure you're writing good meta descriptions. Don't just let every page description be the same. I mean, that erodes the confidence of the search engines, because they see that you're being sloppy and you really don't care. And I just think that that's a mistake. While it's not a game changer necessarily in helping you rank, it certainly is something that is going to make it a little bit harder for you to rank if you're not taking care of just the basic house cleaning kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, and basics also impact other things. So you mentioned the meta descriptions. Most of the social media platforms pull their content previews from that title and meta description.
Yeah.
So when somebody visiting your website actually gets value out of, say, a blog post or even a product post or whatever, and they click the Facebook button to share, if that title and description don't kind of begin to get across why they intended to share it, they may not follow through on that share. They may go, "Oh, this looks bad," and just close it out and say, "I'm not going to share that after all," which just caused your really good piece of content to lose out on a new audience exposure. So those basics are huge for other reasons than just being good basics.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done exactly that, where I started to share something and I was happy to do it because I thought it was valuable content, but I didn't have time to rewrite the description of the post. So I abandoned it. And therefore, that share didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Happens more often than we really would like to admit.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's talk about the content side a little bit here. For a local business, how important would you say to have social presence? Facebook, Twitter, those type of things.
Again, I think you have to tie it back to the nature of the business. If it's a lifestyle driven business, if it's a spa or a yoga studio or a gym or a restaurant, people are already naturally, they want to be social about those things. And so I think for those businesses, it's an absolute no-brainer. Facebook is probably still king for a lot of small businesses, but Instagram, and I think in some cases Pinterest I think can be a hidden gem for some folks. Twitter is, it's always been my favorite social media platform. I use it for a lot of different reasons. But for a lot of small businesses, they only have a certain amount of bandwidth. Pick a platform on social that aligns with who your current and likely customers are going to be, and leverage that. Don't overcommit to too many channels, because I think it's going to water things down. Make sure that if you're going to do social, I think visual is really critical. Both video and images perform really well. And when we talk about video on a platform like Facebook, make sure you upload the video natively to Facebook. Don't link to it to a YouTube post, because that's actually treated by Facebook as a different type of a post. And so it's not going to get the performance and the delivery that you would if you uploaded that video directly to Facebook and shared it that way.
Well said. Plus, when you promote videos on Facebook, you get a lot less cost per click.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, let's delve into the paid side of this a bit, because there are really a lot of fantastic paid tactics for local in both search and social.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm continually amazed at the targeting criteria that you have available using Facebook ads these days. It's no longer just likes and interests and behaviors. They're actually pulling data in from a lot of quality third-party sources to give you a very robust platform. So if you're business to business and you want to run ads targeted to people in specific job titles, guess what? Facebook gives you the ability to do that now. If you have an email list of customers that you want to import into Facebook, you can build, an audience on Facebook from that email list to use for advertising purposes. You can take that same list and you can create a lookalike audience. And while lookalike audiences don't perform typically as well as as an audience that you might create from an email list that of people who that you already have in your email marketing system, it's still a great way to for price per performance is really fantastic. And I think in terms of Google AdWords, a lot of people they miss a couple of opportunities with AdWords where they don't explore the power of the display network. And the display network and even YouTube advertising is very, very cost effective in terms of the overall price.
Yeah.
It's way cheaper than many other solutions that are out there. And I think the other thing is when you're doing Google AdWords, you've got to pay attention to what's going on, and you've got to take advantage of the negative keywords to keep your ads from being displayed. There are just so many things that you can do from a cost control perspective that my biggest frustration with Google AdWords has been that it's always been very easy to set up and create an ad, but but you can wind up wasting a tremendous amount of money because you get a lot of irrelevant clicks and blow up your budget. And the other thing about AdWords is, honestly, if you're running an ad where your budget's $10 a day and the average cost per click is $8, you got to realize that your ad's going to stop displaying for that day if you blow through your budget. And if that's going to happen pretty early in the day, your ad's not going to be displayed for a good portion of the rest of the day, and that certainly rolls back into your overall quality score with AdWords. Yeah. And quality score is a way that you can bring your budget down and also get better overall performance.
And one thing I'd like to add to that is I'd highly recommend this for, almost every business is retargeting.
Yeah.
You've get those customers back. I mean, if you get with the right message, you can turn that into a lead or conversion or whatever it may be.
Well, yeah. And, the other thing about Facebook is, with their remarketing pixel, you can build a website custom audience of people who visited a specific web page within a specific time frame and deliver a very specific ad related to exactly the page or pages that they visited. And that can be pennies on the dollar from any other advertising that you might be doing. So if you still are in a world where direct mail works and direct mail can still work for a lot of people, if you can do things to drive people to your website and then build website custom audiences of people who've gone to that particular web page as a result of being driven there from whatever means, whether it's a direct mail or another paid ad, using that remarketing feature on Facebook is a way, to build really cost-effective ad programs.
Yep.
Well, and that remarketing can also be used with engagement type features too. So we were talking about video earlier. You can play a video, sponsor it, run it to a very specific geography, a very specific, customer persona, all that kind of stuff, and then remarket based on video plays, either sending them more information on where to find you locally or send them to a specific website page that is related to that video content that they consumed. There's options there. There's also audience options with like events. So for I've got a local business that we're going to be launching a new store location for them. obviously we're going to set up all kinds of grand opening events and that kind of stuff. I definitely want to be able to retarget people that engaged with our grand opening event on Facebook to bring them back into the store after after they've kind of forgotten about us a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. I was in that place. It was pretty cool. I think I'm ready to actually buy something the next time I come in.
Yeah. I think another great opportunity for a lot of small businesses is to just think about some marketing automations and make sure that they take advantage of those. If you've had a website for a while, you're going to have a lot of like mine. I'll be honest. There's a lot of work that I need to do on my website to bring it up in some areas where I want it to be. But there's massive opportunity. For example, if somebody fills out a contact form and you're not delivering them to a piece of content that can put them into some kind of a nurturing opportunity, you're missing an opportunity. And there, while it takes a little bit of effort, if you kind of map these things out and you think through them a little bit, you can basically your thank you page for when somebody contacts you can be a blog post that has a strong call to action to get them to take the next step with your business instead of just contacting you, maybe downloading an ebook, about a particular topic and the reason why they maybe reached out to you in the first place. And then now that you know that they did that, you can actually start to put together some content to nurture them or to even cross-sell to them for that matter. But marketing automation is a real powerful feature. And I think it's come down in price. For a lot of people, there's no doubt that some of the effort involved in creating the marketing automations that you want, that's still going to be there. But the great thing is, once you build it, it's there and it just runs. And I think that's another thing that I think makes a lot of sense for a lot of businesses that I don't see them taking advantage of right now.
Yeah, and another thing that a lot of people don't preach is even if you're an offline business, say you're a restaurant, get email addresses.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That can be a repeat customer over and over again if you're sending them offers, especially if you're an e-commerce business. You live and breathe by email lists. I would have to... Go ahead.
I actually think that, a lot of brick and mortar businesses really miss the boat in getting people from offline to online. They've got this entire space that they could use to make it super easy for people to connect and engage with them, through some kind of a digital strategy, whether it's creating a selfie station where people can take pictures and post and share, whether it's having your review link, to drive people to a review page, printed on your receipt or on the menu. There are just so many things that I see people not taking advantage of. They spend all of this money renting a physical space, and they don't do anything to drive people into the online space, which I think is it's wasting opportunity.
Well, and why wouldn't you when every customer walks in the door with a smartphone on their person?
Exactly.
Yeah, and look at a good example, Sears. I don't know if you have Sears where you're at, or used to. That's something that they could have capitalized and probably still be doing pretty damn good right now. Or Kmart, for example. Do you guys have that stuff? Do you guys?
I know if you do, it's a shell of what it used to be.
Right, exactly. Those guys didn't gear up for your Amazons and stuff, and they're competing and basically being gobbled up.
Yeah, but I think, at the same time, I think there's an opportunity for a very robust brick and mortar retail business, because I think you can really truly differentiate. And I think there are a certain segment of customers that want to have an in-person experience. Otherwise, why would Amazon be making an investment in creating physical stores that people can go into? There is still that market and there's still that opportunity. And I think a small business, honestly, I think a small business that just thought about it and really focused can outperform a lot of these bigger companies and certainly big box stores.
I agree, with the right mindset.
Yeah.
I think the barrier there for small local businesses is just the time and the personnel to track down all these options. I mean, it's funny. Facebook allows us to target people not where they live, but where they are in physical proximity, because Facebook is technically a mobile app. So as soon as a Facebook user walks into, or drives into enough of a proximity to a geo-fenced ad, all of a sudden, the next time they open up their Facebook app, if they're like, say, within a mile of my physical storefront, I can have an ad for my business pop up because they're in close proximity. Not because they live in that area, but because their phone has been tagged in that area. And how many local businesses actually know that that's an option on Facebook?
Yeah.
Probably hardly any at all. And it comes down to just time and personnel to actually learn all of this stuff.
Yeah. And I think, that's one of the big things is, there's certainly an overwhelm factor that, a lot of business owners, they're great at what they do. But to stay up to date with all of the options and features and power of what you can do from a digital perspective, that's a tough order. So I try hard to have honest conversations with my clients about the things that I think make the most sense for them to invest in. And, I know that there are a lot of business owners that want to go out and try and do this themselves or utilize the staff that they have. I think it's important to just recognize that there are a lot of things. There's quite a bit of learning, and just because you learn something today, it's going to change, and maybe even within the next couple of days. And so just be prepared to adapt and change and modify. And if you're willing to do that, I think you can honestly dominate.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. All right, man. Well, I think we're about out of time. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. A lot of good information.
Yeah, thanks so much. I really enjoyed it. It was awesome.
Yeah, so if someone wants to reach you on Twitter or something, how can they get a hold of you?
So our social media handles are at ChangeScape and Facebook.com/ChangeScape. No ChangeScape Web, it's just ChangeScape. And our website is ChangeScapeWeb.com. And we've got some tools that in a section of our website called Free Stuff that I encourage people to go out, and run some review scans or some business listing scans. Those are low-hanging fruit things that almost every business can take care of pretty immediately. And so I think that's definitely something that makes a lot of sense for folks to do.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. I also want to give a special shout out to our new sponsor, Directive Consulting. Thank you for sponsoring the show. You can check out their website at directiveconsulting.com. Michelle, you have something you want to
add? No. I think that this is a good show. I hope to goodness that you take the time to maybe listen to this again and absorb it all. And by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to us and ask questions after you've kind of processed this information for a bit.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for your support. We'll see you next week.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
Find the true value of your home when you log on. HomeValue.com.
If you have questions for Search Talk Live, or you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor of the show, email Robert at searchtalklive.com. That's searchtalklive.com.